Once you are logged in, you will see a clear dashboard. On the left side, you see the main menu. Under Dashboard, two dashboards are available. In the Consumption Overview dashboard, you gain insight into consumption and generation. With the Benchmark dashboard, you can compare buildings with each other. Under Contracts, the different contract types can be stored to provide insight into the costs. Under Controls, there are functions for alerting to send notifications if, for example, consumption is exceeded. Invoice Control to validate invoices and manual checks. This is intended for checking manually entered meter readings from analog meters. Under Management, you can manage your entire environment. Under Organizational Structure, you can create, edit, or delete all your buildings, categories, buildings, and meters. Under Authorizations, you can request, create, and manage authorizations. Under Meter Overview, you can easily view your entire meter portfolio with all associated properties. Under Users, you can manage your user administration. And finally, under API Keys, you can create new external API keys so that you can also access our measurement data and other data from another system, such as Microsoft Power BI. In this Consumption Overview dashboard, you see all total consumptions per product. Electricity, gas, heat, and water. Below that, you see all subdivisions per building category. Other locations, real estate for own use, and rented real estate. This hierarchy is fully customizable for your own environment. For example, you can choose to add or remove an extra level. Under the Heading Management and the Page Organizational Structure, you can easily add new building categories. For example, the Municipality of Assen. Below that, buildings and meters can be easily created. If we go one level deeper to the building category of rented real estate, you can see all the buildings that fall under it. We can click on Edit to adjust properties, such as the gross surface area or the energy label. By then opening a building, we can create new meters under this building. For this, only two fields are required: the data connection, such as a measurement company or ODA for EDSN, and below that, of course, the EAN associated with the meter. If we go back to the main menu organization structure, it is also possible here to download an Excel template via bulk import. You can then use these to add an infinite number of categories, buildings, and meters. These can then be imported with a simple press of a button, so the system creates them automatically. In addition, it is easy to add new properties to each entity or object. This can be done by going to Dataset Groups. To modify a group, such as building, and add new properties here. A property consists of one type of text, multiple lines of text, or an integer. Calculations can be performed with an integer. This is used, for example, in a relative benchmark. We can perform a relative benchmark by clicking on Benchmark on the left, then selecting a number of locations. Choose the comparison value on one of the whole numbers, such as gross area. And click on Apply. Here we see a benchmark relative to the number of square meters. Then we can select all the buildings and click on Show Graphs to display the consumption per month relative to the square meters. If we go back to the Consumption Overview dashboard, you can easily see the consumption and generation of multiple meters under one building here. We first open a building category, such as real estate for own use. Below, you see all consumptions per building divided over the products, and the total is shown above per product. Below that, you see the total consumption. This is a calculation of the net consumption, which is determined by combining delivery, return delivery, and generation. Here you finally see the 4 different values side by side. In the bottom right, you can then enable additional information, such as the dynamic rate. Here, you then see the average dynamic rate for that month. We can also click through on a month to see the dynamic rate of a different day. And if we click through here again, you see the different quarter-hour values with the different dynamic rate per hour. It is also possible to display different products. In the top left, we can click on gas, for example, and simultaneously show the temperature here. Here you see the average temperature per hour compared to gas consumption. We can also do this for degree days. And of course, at the top, we can click Reset Zoom to return to the monthly overview. It is also possible to analyze weeks with each other, or, for example, click through a week to see an entire week, and you can also click on details to actually see the entire time series and be able to compare it. This way, you can scroll through the entire time series and choose which part you want to analyze. By clicking on the download icon in the top right, you can download the CSV data. If we now enable temperature, it is also possible to download both streams. This is shown here simply. This can be downloaded in any possible granularity, such as months, weeks, days, or 15-minute values. In the top right of the period filter, you can specify which period you want to download data for in the entire dashboard. That can be for a quarter, that can be a month, a custom period where you actually select a start or an end date, or you can indicate that you want to display the entire history of data. All these numbers are calculated in advance, so it loads as quickly as possible, ensuring the user experience is as optimal as possible. On the left in the main menu under Controls and on the Alert button, you can easily create alarms. We currently support 6 types of alarms. Zero consumption gives a message when there is no consumption. Zero consumption, high daily consumption, and above average high daily consumption. They perform an analysis to see if there has been more daily consumption on average than expected. An alarm notification for high consumption looks like this. In the Consumption Overview dashboard, it is also possible to open analyses. This is, for example, the analysis for contracted capacity, where you see the maximum peak capacity and, in addition, the contracted capacity. This is for both delivery and return delivery. It is also possible to see the daily pattern of one of a meter. Here, for example, you see the average consumption over the whole of 2023 per different day. In addition, we can also view the high and low tariff here to show the different usages for high and low tariffs. This applies to both delivery and return. And of course, we can also add a dynamic tariff here. The degree days analysis checks if there is a correlation between the degree days and the usage. On the right, you see the R value. In this case, with electricity, it is red. In other words, there is no correlation. But if you open gas, then it is indeed green, and there is a correlation. Under Contracts, you can easily store the different contract types, such as fixed and dynamic contracts. As you can see, we support different contract types, such as tiers like fixed and dynamic contracts, but also a grid operator contract. After choosing a type of contract, you can save the discount and storage of the rate and optionally specify a weighting factor. When we implement new improvements or bug fixes for our customers, we make a note of this in our Improvements module. This can be accessed by clicking on the gift icon.